Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
And welcome back, everyone. When you're looking to make a change in your living situation, how your home looks, even your workspace, a lot of us gravitate toward hiring an interior designer, somebody that's going to give us suggestions, kind of walk that journey with us. Maybe if it's maybe it could be construction suggestions. Got somebody today that is amazing and creative at what she does, and she's been doing this for literally decades. And today we're gonna look at the process when you first meet Dianne Davant and her crew and how they walk you through and transform your living or workspace. And she's with us today. Dianne, welcome. How you doing?
Thank you. Doing great.
Good to have you back with us. And this is the one thing we haven't talked about. We've talked about styles, trends, even looked at some of your work, which is amazing. The process. So let's say somebody comes before you, either a referral, which you have so many, because so many people are happy with the work you do. They refer others. Doesn't matter how they got to you. How does that begin? That journey to transformation. How does that begin with you?
So I think last time I told you that a great way to get jobs for designers who are opening their business, it's like, how do I get a client? Because if you don't have a client, you don't have a business. So you got to find clients fast and hopefully build on that. So a good source, realtors, take them cookies, do whatever, stand out. When you take your business card, go visit architects, go visit builders. And that's a way. So now let's say you have jobs coming in. Maybe you have your first client. Oh, goody. Now what do I do? Okay. So, and I think I went over this before. You interview your client. You find out, what is their lifestyle? Do they have kids? Do they have pets? What's their dream? Speaking of pets.
I love that. That was on cue, by the way.
It was. I know. She's speaking up in the background. Sorry about that.
Oh, no worries whatsoever. Listen, my dog would be in this office building right now. I would love to bring him here, but and he's quiet, he's chill. Every time the HVAC comes on, it makes a noise for literally 1 second. It goes, "Doof," and that noise freaks him out. He starts barking.
That's it.
That's it.
Well, I have, as we speak, and I know we had to change the time of this podcast, but we've had to replace our entire HVAC system, and it's being done right now.
Oh.
So I told the workmen, please try to be quiet. We're in Florida. Our first floor got flooded out, but we're almost back. It's all good. Anyway, moving forward with what we were talking about, you have your client. Now, what do you do with this client? Number one, you do anything you can to make him happy. Just make sure you know what their likes, their dislikes are. And if you do your research, you have all of that pinned down, then what you do, you go and you start, or this is my way of doing it. I start with fabrics, and I find some killer fabrics that I really think they will love because they fit their personalities, their color preferences, their style that they like. So then I take those fabrics and I build from them. For instance, I always think a neutral sofa is the way to go because people replace their sofas about as often as their refrigerators, which is not very often if we're lucky. So if you have that neutral base of a sofa, and people end up reupholstering, they love their sofas. They'll reupholster them and keep them their whole lives. And if you buy a really good quality, that's a place to have your client invest their money. They need to know that it can be a lifetime purchase. Okay, so now you have all that. You have your fabrics. They love what you picked out. If they don't, then you pull some other things that until you hit it on the nail. And you build from that. Say they love a great geometric with all kinds of tropical colors. Then you can pull out from some of those tropical colors, you pull out accent colors. And from there, you do coordinating fabrics for chairs. You pick geometrics that go with your pattern, and you can do pillows. You can change pillows and throws on a sofa and change the entire look and style of your house. And that's so easy and inexpensive to do without having to discard the sofa. So, a middle of the road, style wise, neutral, great fabric. I would suggest a performance fabric. And honestly, the performance fabrics that are out right now are so good. When they first came out, we didn't believe what they were telling us. And this is maybe 15 years, 20 years, I don't know, however long ago. And what we would do, we would get a bottle of red wine and we would pour the red wine on the fabric. We'd let it sit and then we would attempt to clean it. Of course,
Wow.
afterwards, we drank the wine after. We didn't waste it, of course. But then if it, you scrub it, it comes out. And honestly, they are so advanced now, you really need soap and water, period. Even white. Think of it as an umbrella. You see all those white umbrella, canvas umbrellas all over the place?
Sure.
You have to clean them somehow, right? They bleach them. It doesn't hurt them. So you can clean even white, because I have a lot of clients that are like, oh my God, a white sofa. I don't know if I can get my husband to live with that, or my pets or my kids are going to destroy it. But you don't necessarily have to do white. You can do an off-white, an almond color, a taupe color, but something that you'll never get tired of is good.
So I'm detecting from you, Dianne, it is essential if you want longevity in any of these, anything we're talking about here, fabrics, couches, all that, make the investment. It is well worth it to get the quality.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
It really is in the long run. On the big ticket items, I mean, pillows, you can replace those easily. Throws, easily. Even if you change out lamps, lamps are ridiculously expensive. Even I think that, but they're worth a good investment because they'll last forever. So just
To your point, I renovated a backyard, and my mindset was, and I want your thoughts on this. My mindset was, think of a resort. What would a resort do? What would they buy? Whatever they're going to do, they want it to last. They have lots of people showing up, sitting on couches outdoors, right? I'm just using outdoors as an example, but I think
sure.
it illustrates everything that we're talking about. And I paid more for the fabrics and Sunbrella. I think that's one of the fabrics. I'm trying to
Yes,
go by
yeah,
memory. Okay. There's
that's a great
different, and there's different, as I learned, different grades of it. So I gravitated toward a higher grade. Yeah, I paid a little bit more, but didn't fade. It when there was stuff from trees falling on it, would wipe it off. It didn't stain. A lot of times little leaves will stain things. Nothing. It was
yeah,
great, and I'm so happy I paid more for that because it lasted longer. So I would think, think hotel,
yeah,
if you're designing, because you want to have that durability.
yes. And most often you do get what you pay for.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
So that pays. Now think about this. So you're thinking outdoor fabrics, all right? And that's how they first started.
Oh,
And they were not comfortable. who wants to sit on an umbrella fabric? It's not that comfortable.
Right.
But Sunbrella, in addition to a lot of other companies, Cravat, which is a New York-based company, wonderful. They have made their outdoor fabrics not only, I mean, their indoor fabrics not only that durable, but they're soft. You're like, oh my God, is that really a fabric that is,
Mm.
performance that will survive anything? And yeah, it really is. It's just crazy.
It's funny you
Crazy.
should say that, because when I think of quote unquote performance fabrics, even if you tie it to outdoors, whatever it might be, my first thought is, oh, it's going to be like canvas because it's going to be so
Yeah,
durable. And then to sit on that, that's not going to be comfortable. How can that be? But it's not. Nowadays, they've got it's literally a science.
yeah, yeah. It
Mm.
is a science. So, all right, back to the expense of buying quality things. Not all designers, decorators are going to have clients who have endless budgets. Um, and I have had to work around a lot of budgets in my life and can do it. So, but the way we like to start is we put together everything that our client loves and we do a wish list. Yeah, this is what we're thinking of doing. And then we lay out the cost of everything in detail. So they can look at that and they can say, okay, this is more than I wanted to spend,
Mm.
but I love this one thing. I love the sofa. I love the fabric. And I'll say, okay, so why don't we do this? Why don't we look at some other things that we can replace with less costly things? And I have a funny story. I had a client one time that she she loved tassels and fringe and all of that, stuff back when it was very popular, and it's been gone, the fussy stuff, for quite a while, but now it's coming back. Um, but she used to say, okay, how many tassels is that going to cost me? Because her tassel was like $1,000 for one tassel to tie her curtains back, and so we started dealing in the cost of tassels. It's like, okay, your sofa is going to cost you, how many 30 tassels or 10 tassels or whatever. So that's just how we kept track of things. But budgets are important, and your clients will, they'll immediately react and say, okay, this is better than I thought it was going to be, which is obviously the best answer you can get. And if it isn't, then you figure out how to make it fit into their budget, keeping the things they love the best.
So it sounds like a balancing act, the give and the take away over here, call it the fringe, no pun
Yeah,
intended, or maybe I
right.
did. These things over here, let's take away a little bit of that so we can invest more into a better fabric couch or whatever it
Yes,
might be. So it's better quality because that's going to serve you more than extra tassels on something over here. That's what I'm
right.
getting from you, right?
But you might get tired of the tassels. I've
Right.
cut I've cut many tassels off of draperies. I promise you.
Isn't there a thing right now with I don't want to call it piping, but just let's say you have a cushion on a
Yeah,
chair,
yeah.
that decorative stuff that goes around where it's
The
seen.
cording. Yeah, the cording,
It's kind of
piping.
pop. It's
It's
back
just
now.
cording.
Pop, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah. But I don't know that I'm trying to think if it's ever really been out. We've been adding cording. The type of cording changes.
Hmm.
It's not as fancy as it used to be. And what's very popular that we've been doing a lot of are tapes, which are like wide bands, basically, wide decorative bands, and they will go, up the edge of the window treatment. They might go around the base of a chair or an ottoman. There are different ways to apply tapes. But now we're starting to see a little bit of the more decorative fringes come back.
Interesting. It's,
Yeah,
I don't want to use a cliche, but all the things that we're in always come back, no matter what it is. I
they
mean,
do.
look at jeans, women, bell-bottom jeans now. They're big now. Where I don't know, 3 years ago it was all skinny jeans. It was all super skinny. Now, even mom jeans came back a couple of years ago. With a high waist and just a lot of room.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know it is. It's a trend, and I see it about every 10 years, and people really, or maybe 7 years, people just they get tired of the look. And we talked about this earlier, that for so long it's been interiors have been very neutral,
Mm,
very white,
yes.
uh, very contemporary, and very clean and not ornate at all. So now the ornate things seem to be coming back. I think it's fun, actually, when a client comes to me and said, "Oh my God, my mom just passed away, and I have all the furniture out of her house in Connecticut, and I'm coming south, and I know it's not going to fit." Um, so the pieces that they love the most, we make them fit. And it makes for such an interesting interior when you have pieces that are eclectic. You might like contemporary, but put some antiques with your clean look. And it's interest. It's just interest,
Hmm.
especially if it's from your family.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's what I'm hearing from you is we have license to add those two things, something contemporary and something antique. Where
Yeah.
some of us may think, whoa, wait, that's two different styles and worlds going together there. You can
No,
do pretty much anything.
as long as it's done well, you
Right.
can.
Yeah,
And the average person probably doesn't know how to pull that off.
100%.
So that's why it's a good idea to hire a designer who can help with that. So, and what I've been talking about is all what the designer, decorator will do once they have a client. But they're obviously all different types of clients and types of projects. One client may come to you, they're building a home that's going to take 4 years to build. So what do you start with? You start with plumbing things because that's what comes first. After you figure out the plans and do your space planning and know where your needs are, then you go to work to get what the plumber needs, because they're going to want that first, then electrical, and then you just kind of move on from there. But you might have a client who will come to you, they have an apartment in New York. There's not a whole lot that you can do structurally with that. You might be able to maybe take out a non-structural wall, um, but you have the option there. You might replace the tile. You might replace things. You're dealing on a much more limited scope than when you have a whole house, a 10,000 square foot house project. It's a whole different thing. But it's fun doing different things.
What's your advice for somebody that is potentially considering a career in interior design? What's some of the first things that you would tell somebody? They're at that, maybe if they're at the crossroads or they're younger and they're just really creative and this just feels
Mm,
right for them.
Well, that actually happened to me. And the way I started, let's see, I was in school and I knew I had decided I wanted to go into interior design, but I didn't know quite, I didn't know anything except what I'd learned in school. And so I found a designer to shadow,
Hmm.
and I didn't ask to be paid. And I literally followed her around from job to job, and I just saw what she did. And I would do anything she asked me to do, help me do this, help me do that. It was fine because everything I did, I learned. And she was so kind and helpful to share her knowledge with me. And she
Mhm.
had a great reputation. So that started things. Then I think I got a job. Oh, I was a designer in a paint business. And so there wasn't much I could learn or do. Then I became a designer for a furniture company in North Carolina. And I learned a lot about the furniture industry and companies and all of that. So, but I think the most important thing is to find someone that you can shadow, um, you know, just volunteer to work for somebody in
Sure.
a design firm where you can go in and be the gopher. Maybe you'll be the one to run out and pick up things that they need or hang the fabrics back. Your job could be, you know, not too exciting, but you'll learn so much. And you might say, oh my God, this is definitely not for me. I didn't know it was so much work. I didn't know how hard it was to, as I said, be a glorified babysitter of subcontractors because you
Mm.
have to make sure everybody's, on schedule to get done what you want to get done. So I think if that would be my advice, find somebody, volunteer your services because who knows? If you're good, they might offer you a job. And there you have
Absolutely.
it. And they already have clients built in. And gradually, as you work for them, you'll get your own clients.
And learn so much. It's like going to school, but real
Yeah,
world
it is.
experience.
Real world. The best professor I had in my interior design courses was a practicing interior designer with a local architectural firm. And she would come in like she had been run over by a bus. She was like, oh my God, you can't believe what just happened to me today. And she would tell us about experiences that she had with clients. And we were like, wow, that never occurred to us that that was part of what a designer would do. So I think I credit her with giving me a lot of insight as far
Mm.
as what real interior design is like. It's not what people think it is. You just don't go choose pretty fabrics and paints. You just, you know,
Yeah.
that is,
That's called, you know what they call that? HGTV. That's,
that's
that's
it.
what we see, just somebody
Yeah,
walking in and just like, yeah, do that. And then,
yeah,
they're off to lunch or whatever. There's so much
right.
more. And especially if it's your business, now you're a business person, now you got to blend the creativity with the business. Dianne, great insight today. Really, really appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Steve.
How does somebody connect with you, whether they're looking to do a design, no matter where they are? Because I know a lot of this can be done virtually, or maybe they just want some advice to start a
Right.
company. How do they
Yeah.
find you?
Best thing to do is go to my website and just they can contact me and be sure if you do that, tell them that you would like to speak with me because you learned this on a podcast
Sure.
or they'll be running you all over the place. So, and you can go there, www.davant-interiors.com. DAVANT-interiors.com.
Got it. Thank you so much for today. And I just have to say, every once in a while, I can see outside your window. I know you're in Florida, and I see leaves on the tree. Oh, look at
Look,
that. Oh
can you
my,
see that?
that is just stunning, beautiful. Florida's calling.
Florida. Yeah, we have no dock, but everything's coming back together again, hopefully.
Love it. Yeah. Well, you know what? There's good and bad in everything, and we move it forward. I really appreciate you being with us today.
You're so welcome. Come for a
Thanks.
visit.
I would love to. We'll talk soon. Okay.
Okay.
Appreciate
Bye.
it.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.